It's prepping. Get ready. Get your.
I have my phone.
So do I.
Good morning, because I know there's always a delay. I want to make sure to be saying good morning, good morning. We are on Facebook Live. Yes, we are. There we go. We are on Facebook Live. Just want to make sure. Yep, there we are. Good morning, everyone. I'm just going to have this right here. I'm just going to give everyone, while we're just letting people give that time for people to join in, I'm just going to do a quick little welcome, a little introduction of ourselves. So I'm Rebecca, and my husband, oh, he's on mute.
JB Atkins right here.
Okay, there we go. So I'm Rebecca and my husband. Let's do that again.
JB Atkins.
We are Dual Dragons, and we have been together, working together as a healing. We are both holistic wellness consultants, and we facilitate healing together with our clients. They call us the AKA, also known as the Muscle Whisperers. And we've been together for 2 years, and it all started with my sister when she got diagnosed with ovarian cancer. JB at the time had just finished his advanced course in the same program that I had done before and graduated from advanced neuromuscular technique. And so I connected with him and asked him to help me with the healing, facilitating healing for my sister, which we were very successful in. And since that day on, for 2 years, we have been very successful with all of our clients as the Dual Dragons. You know, just healing, whether it be something physical, whether it's something emotional, energetic. We have many tools under our belt, many modalities that we use, not just massage therapy. We also do a lot of, chakra aligning, energy work, Reiki, cranial sacral. My husband does the bar lines. That's another technique. So we use a lot of modalities to facilitate whatever healing journey you need to embark and to get you those results and have you feeling much better sooner. And then the reason behind the Healers Roundtable, back in September, I was taking a course on what our path will be. And I had already been feeling a little down and about like where are we going as facilitated healers in this COVID? You know, what's going to happen? How are we going to be able to continue working if we cannot be close to our clients sometimes? So that was a question that kept coming up, and I was trying to seek an answer for. And in that process of meditation, my spirit guides came on strong and said, it's time for you to start the Healers Roundtable. And when they said that, I literally saw the vision of the knights, when the knights would come in the round table and they would all come together to protect their, whatever kingdom, whatever needed protection, and they would come up with a plan. And that's the vision I got of all of us healers coming together to this round table to be able to communicate to each other, like, what is it that you're going through? What are you feeling? What's the messages you're getting? And as a group, network together to make a plan on how to transition and shift into this new era of COVID and what's about to come and what's the reason for all of this. And it's been truly a blessing. We did our first course in October, which was a 7-day chakra cleanse. And then in November, we did our 7-day course on how to connect with your spiritual guide. And it was really like each course had a significant meaning behind it and a way of preparing. First, we had to align ourselves, grounding important. And then from there, how to connect to our spiritual guides, aligning with our higher self. So it's just really unique how they help me prepare these courses depending on what needs to be worked on each month. So this month is about spiritual connection within yourself. So we've already done the grounding, the aligning of our chakras. We've already done the connecting with our higher self. And now we're connecting within ourselves, within our spiritual connection with our higher source that lives within us, our energy that is always there within us. And that's why I like this picture that I selected, because it shows it very well, the grounding and our connection with our higher self, and then that's within ourselves. And so that's a little bit about what we've done so far. And then let me see if there's anything else. Make sure to, if you haven't watched the October course or the November course, make sure to watch them. There's a lot of information there that it has been coming up for a lot of people that they needed to receive those messages. And that's another thing we do. My husband has come to an awareness that he could channel while we've been doing this work. And then also, I've always been very in tune. I have a very intuitive nature of myself. I'm an empath. When I work on people, I will literally feel everything you're going through. If you're in pain, I will feel it. If you're in emotional distress, I will feel that emotion. If you're sad, if you're depressed, if you have headaches, I feel everything. And that's what makes me very in tune. But at the same time, this whole course and what I've learned so far has also helped me to prepare to make sure, and this is a statement I've been saying over and over, as healers, you need to heal yourself first before you can facilitate any healing onto others. And so that's my important message for this group. Make sure that we are taking care of ourselves first before we take care of others. Because if we, like the first course, the 7 chakras, are one of our speakers, she said that not only are we pillars for our community, but we also need to teach everyone else that they are also healers and pillars for themselves. And once we start making everyone strong pillars, it's something much more greater that will come about that. And that's what I'm talking about, that transition, that shift that is coming about. And so with that, let me just kind of like go to our next screen. Right here. Oops. That was not supposed to happen. There we go. There we go. And so today we're going to talk about spiritual connections with yourself emotionally. What does that mean? And when I was meditating on that, the things that I got and came up with was like, smile, do what makes you happy, feel all feelings and find silence within those feelings. How to share your emotional self to yourself. It's okay to have emotions. It's okay to have feelings. It's okay to have negative feelings. It's okay to be angry for a second. But then what do you do with that emotion? Well, how does it serve you and what is the purpose of it? Question it. Why am I feeling this? Why am I going through this? What's the purpose? How is this serving me? And you learn so much more when you're able to just and say, okay, I'm feeling mad, or I'm feeling sad, or I'm feeling happy. Ooh, what's the purpose of this? How is this serving me today? So that's what we're going to talk about today. And with that, I want to also start presenting our presenter. So today we have our guest speaker, Teresa Ramirez. I don't want to butcher your last name. How does it here?
Petroni.
Petron. Okay. So I want to make sure I'm saying it correctly.
Right.
So she's the owner of Rooted Holistic Body. I can't see my full screen. If you could finish it for me. And
Rude
so,
Holistic Bodywork.
body work. And so she is a body and energy work therapist, Reiki master practitioner, holistic health and anatomy, CMT, HHP. What is HHP?
Holistic Health Practitioner.
Perfect. And then, so that's her website, her, to be able to communicate with her, her phone number, where you could find her at in Instagram, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna have this information up on our wall. If anyone feels like they resonate with Teresa, she's based out of San Diego. If you are in the San Diego area, she is someone you want to reach out for sure and connect with, because she will be able to provide other tools and modalities that maybe I don't have, that she could serve you better in. You know, she's a Reiki master. I am a Reiki master, but I don't really use it as much now because I use so much other techniques, but she's a Reiki master practitioner, which is very, very, very good for a lot of people, especially during this time. You know, we could do distant healing with our Reiki master certification, which is really nice to be able to do that. So I'm going to hand over the microphone to Teresa so she could present and we could hear about it, and then we'll have a question, a Q&A afterwards. Okay, and there you
Great. Thank you. All right. Let's see. So I get to share my screen, right? Sorry, guys. All right. Well, hello, everyone. Great to meet you. Thank you again, Rebecca, for my introduction. Again, Teresa Ramirez Petroni. Nice to meet you all. I am San Diego based, but like Rebecca was saying, distance Reiki is a thing. So it's great to be able to connect and vibe and do some healing from a distance. I really like what you said, Rebecca, around when you were meditating on this day one and what was coming through for you. And I know when Rebecca and I game planned and teamed on what I was going to talk about today, I think the question part is the easy part, right? Asking, okay, what is this? What's going on? Why am I feeling this? It's that deep dive part that can get a bit murky, that can get a little painful, that can be a little challenging. So I decided let's dive into the psychology of consciousness, the psychology of, let me move this guy right here. All right. Don't mind me. All right, here we go. Perfect. Let's see, trying to do Zoom things. I'm new with Zoom. All right. So we're going to be diving in today with the psychology of consciousness, thoughts. I think it's really, we feel it on the surface level, right? Like we're crying, we're angry, we're rage. We have those emotions and feelings, but if we don't really understand the mechanics of what's going on in our brain and the psychology of what's going on in our brain, it can be kind of hard to really navigate those more challenging emotions and feelings, which, as we know, 2020 has literally brought them up in all of us, right? So how do thoughts work? As you see on the left-hand side here, thoughts, actually, a lot of people think beliefs and thoughts. No, it's thoughts create beliefs, beliefs create feelings, feelings create reactions. So to really understand and connect with our emotional self will be the inner work we do for the rest of our lives. I think there's a lot of talk in the energy world, spiritual worlds of, oh yeah, shadow work. Yeah, oh, I overcame this, I'm good. Like, no, shadow work, as within, so without, right? As above, so below. Where they're like, and I love the duo dragon, right? Dark and light, yin yang. There's always going to be a shadow side to anything we navigate in our life. So please know and buckle in. Shadow work is something we will be navigating for the rest of our lives. So today we're going to unpack how thoughts and beliefs are created and stored in our subconscious minds to better understand how we can connect with our emotional selves. Not just to understand the emotions, but to really connect and dive deep into them. So to the right here, you're going to see a picture of a really cool, very easy to read, bite-sized book, How to Think Your Way to the Life That You Want, by Dr. Bruce Doyle. I absolutely love it. It is one of the most basic breakdowns of consciousness, thought, form, structure, how they're formed, limiting beliefs, empowering beliefs. I know Dr. Joe Dispenza is a big name right now, but he can be pretty wordy. So I really like this book if you're newer into the psychology of consciousness. So thoughts are actually a thought form. So what is a thought form? So thoughts and ideas exist as a wave of energy vibration, also a frequency, called a thought form. This is that concept, your vibe attracts your tribe, right? This whole concept of law of attraction, manifestation, it starts on that really cellular level of a thought form. So what's the purpose of a thought form? It's to, get no surprise here, to carry out a person, also known as the thinker's desires and intentions. So I want you to think about yourself as a radio station. So, we're back in the day, I know we don't have our old school normal radio stations where we're playing with the dial and whatnot, but we used to have to play with the dial and slowly but surely find the station number that you wanted to listen to. So that's a frequency, right? That's sound moving. So as a thinking human with the energy frequency transmitted by these thought forms, that's actually broadcasting out into the universe our desires, our intentions, and our ideas. So kind of a fun little analogy when we're thinking about this concept of energy. I think, again, this whole manifestation is just being thrown out like, oh yeah, manifest your life. Okay, bye, have fun. But no, really understanding the breakdown of how we are all our energy and everything's a vibe, literally. It starts on that cellular level with our thoughts. So breaking down of a belief. So again, thoughts create beliefs, right? So breaking it down, so thought forms we accept as true become a belief. So specialized thought forms that become part of the individual's belief system. So this is that concept, what you believe creates what and how you experience the external world, right? So we're doing that deep dive onto the internal throughout the summit this week. This is that concept of everything that's going on the inside creates that external. So that's that concept of the power of manifestation. So we have two types of beliefs. We have conscious beliefs, so that's like what we're aware of on the outside, that external. And then we have the subconscious belief, what we're not aware of. And that is where I'm grateful that this year, 2020, is really bringing up the subconscious on a collective level, as well as a personal level. So it's that subconscious, that's what we're doing the deep dive into. And I'm here to tell you, as like a little shadow work warrior, since I said I can't do this anymore when I was 29 and I stepped into the world of holistic healing, it can have dark moments, but there's like, again, shadow, light, right? Where there's dark, there's always light. So keep going. So at both levels, we can have empowering, right? I am beautiful, I am enough. And we can have limiting, disempowering beliefs. I'm not enough, I'm not worthy. Those are the ones where the juicy ones, those are the limiting beliefs, that's where the work lies. I love this quote from this book. You are the only one who can create or change your thoughts and your beliefs. Not your husband, not your mom, not your dad, you are in charge of your thoughts and your beliefs. So, like I said, thoughts, beliefs, and then feelings. So feelings are generated and created by our thought forms. So a perfect example is how you feel when you have a positive thought. So example, I am beautiful. That's the thought. What's the feeling after you say that or think that, right? Maybe a feeling that's caused by that thought, joy, happiness, bliss, love. Now let's reverse that and let's reverse that to a negative thought. So thought, I am unworthy. What are some feelings that are commonly felt when you think you're not worthy? Maybe pain, hurt, anger, sadness. So it's in those negative thought forms, also known as our limiting beliefs, right? We just talked about, that lies the lifetime healing journey, which is, again, our inner work. I feel like the term do the work is being thrown around a lot in the social media sphere, which I'm glad, yay. People are being turned on to this work that we need to do, but how, right? How do we do the work? So we start here. We start by unpacking our consciousness and understanding how it works so we can be the creators of our own lives. So another quote I love, I'm just going to pull out all the quotes. I absolutely adore this book. So to clear out an issue, you have to pull the original thought form out by the roots. And fun little fact, I put that there. The term, that concept, rooted holistic bodywork, actually stemmed from this book. It was reading this book, and when I was able to start doing the deep dive on all of my limiting beliefs and go to the root, this concept of roots really came through for me. And I genuinely felt like I was ripping out these rotten old roots that were just causing infection to the beautiful tree that was my consciousness. So fun little quote I wanted to throw in there for you guys. So I'm a little bit of a nerd, if you haven't kind of already tell. So human biocomputers, I want you to start thinking about your physical body as a computer. So your brain, I want us to think about your brain is the hardware. So specifically the brain and spine, right? Which any body worker, anyone in the world's been like, yes, brain and spine, that is the nuts and bolts. Like that is what keeps us upright. It keeps us walking, thinking, right? Being Homo sapiens. So specifically, your mind is the software though. So if our hardware, the motherboard, our brain, right, and our spine is that hardware, what does a computer do? You have hardware, you need software for it to work, right? So our mind is the software. So I want us to get really techie geeky. I don't know if you have any computer IT friends. So what do programmers do all day, right? What's a programmer? I feel like dead boot camp, right? That's like all the rage now. They're deleting defective code, right? So there's a software, there's a hardware, they're going in, okay, what's not working? And within deleting, they're looking for the bugs, they're looking to write the new code. So with that analogy in mind, I want to think about our limiting beliefs, those negative thought form structures. That's the defective code, right? This crap, this BS we learned when we were little kids. I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I learned my lessons the hard way. I'm giving you some examples of what I've been telling myself since I was a little kid. Those are the bugs in the software. Our software, when we were born, right? We have our motherboard, our computer, our spine, our brain, our spine, and we have our software. We were born in love. We were born enough, whole. Like it's all of these little things we experience throughout, not little, they're big, right? I've had some really big things I've experienced in this life. It's all these things we go through as a child that starts to put bugs in our software. And then they start to glitch out. And then boom, you're in your 20s and we have addiction. We have suicide. We have all the things that are plaguing this world. And it's all this concept that stems from all the things we learned as children when we were getting, when our software was getting upgrades, right? As we started to grow into our thinking minds. So as the creator of our lives, it's up to us to fix these bugs, the BS that we were told when we were young, right? So that's that concept, law of attraction, power of now, manifesting. Everything is literally a vibration on a cellular level. And it's up to us to do the work, to delete that negative code. So to get a little bit more into that, I want to think about mind hacking, not biohacking. I know that's all the rage right now, right? But I'm talking about mind, because again, using that, our mind is the software. I want us to be hackers. I want us to be going in, we're looking for those bugs, we're looking for the defective code, we're deleting it out, and we're putting in new code. So deleting the dysfunctional code, AKA negative thought forms, limiting beliefs, right? The strongest and most challenging limiting beliefs are centered around the self-concept, those I am statements on how we see ourselves. So back to that last slide, I am beautiful, I am not worthy, right? These really powerful I am statements, they get buried at a really deep level and they start to impact the ways that we move forward in the external world. So again, these are programmed during childhood. As we grow up, we develop into our thinking minds and how we really come to understand the external environment based on this cause-effect concept and ways of growing into adulthood. So once a thought form becomes a belief, incidents occur to reaffirm that belief is true. So from age 3, I told myself, I'm not worthy. My father left the house and didn't communicate. So at age 3, I told that to myself. That got buried in my subconscious. So things started happening outside my external environment to affirm that belief, right? So I love this concept. This analogy is also used in that book. So think about like when you're like, man, okay, I'm doing it. I really want that Mustang. Oh, that new GT. I don't know cars that well. But name your car here. It's wild. You start to see that car as you're driving on the road. All of a sudden, you start seeing it. So it's that concept of when you bury something deep, I'm going to buy this car. Things start to happen in your external environment to validate that for you. That's a fun little analogy. So mind hacking continue. So this is where we're going to now kind of deep dive into the trigger cycle and how these negative thought form structures, right? These really hurtful, I am, negative limiting beliefs, we tell how they become triggers later on in adulthood. So with replacing, we're going in, we're looking for that dysfunctional code, which, that's the shadow work. You're going to the root. And we're replacing it with this functioning code, also known as our empowered thoughts. So this is where the study of triggers and the reaction cycle really comes into play. So to get to the source of a trigger, we have to go back to the source, where, how, when we came to understand a limiting belief. I'm here to tell you, develop your soul family. If your chosen family cannot be there for you on this journey inward, you need to have a soul family. You need to have people on your side. This process, this shadow work that you're doing when you're going into that route, that means you have to go back into that trauma. You have to go back and you have to re-experience those things. And it's not easy. And that's why I'm so grateful that you all have a community like Duo Dragons to hold that healing space for you. Maybe you have a best friend, maybe you have a partner, whoever that is, you need someone on your support team. Because when you go back into that place and you experience, you go back to the root of that trigger, it hurts. It doesn't feel good. You're going to be re-triggered in real life as if it's happening to you. And it can be pretty tricky. I know for me in my last 4 years, I did have some suicidal moments, because it was just so painful, like the pain of it. Because again, everything's a vibe, right? If you're vibrating on the state of love, but you take yourself back to that trauma, you're literally bringing your vibration down. So that's just a little bit about that. So to the left here, we have the trigger cycle. So at the top, you have your trigger. So let me use this in real time. I'll use myself. So I used my father doesn't love me, right? That's the thought. That's the limiting belief. The emotional response is grief, loss, pain, anger, and rage. For me, anger and rage have been rampant this year. I have been deeply triggered by 2020. So the resulting reaction is anger, rage, fit tantrums, right? I can just 0 to 100 lose my crap on my partner. Not my best moments, but it's been something for me to sit with and to work on my healing. So the aftermath is what happens after you are not your best self with someone you love. You start to feel guilt. You start to feel shame. You start to feel regret. And that's when you go into the maladaptive, the not really good coping techniques, right? So in here, I spoke to it as a child. So the aftermath as a child self-soothes by numbing out. And that's adults. Just numbing is one of the easiest ways to self-soothe pain. So this is that concept of when you see something happen, like a 0 to 100 moment, like watch the movie of your life. Be as if you're in the seats watching your movie. You can see yourself being triggered in real time. That trigger, so for me, it's this concept of worthiness. If I feel like my partner is coming at me and is specifically doubting like who I am as a person, I'm immediately triggered back to what that felt like as a child, and I go through this entire cycle. This cycle, this process, this is where the work is. It's juicy. It has painful moments. It has amazing breakthrough moments, but being able to understand how the brain works and how in real time, okay, crap, I'm being triggered. Oh yeah, that's right. Because when I was 3, my dad left me and I told myself I wasn't worthy. And that's why I'm feeling anger and rage right now. But guess what? I'm 33. I'm an adult. That happened that long time ago. I've done the work. I know I'm worthy. I know I'm good enough. Let's go for a walk outside. Let's go put my feet in the ground. Let's insert any holistic healing tool here. That's when you get to pull out all the tools in your tool belt to stop this trigger cycle in its tracks. So it's a little bit about the trigger cycle. There's many books you can read on this. So I know I've been using the word shadow work a lot. We'll dive into it a little bit here. So to know and love our emotional self is to sit with our shadow. As a country, we do world, let's be honest. We do a really good job avoiding pain. We don't want to feel uncomfortable. We don't want to feel pain. We don't want to feel sad. Like it's that toxic positivity, right? Good vibes only, happy all the time. Bullshit. We are shadow. We are light, as within, so without. It's like Rebecca was saying, it's okay to feel angry. It's okay to feel rage. It's okay to feel sadness, grief. But it's like Rebecca was saying, how do we transmute it? How do we transform that? And that's that light, right? So it's that recognizing the shadow. Okay, these are the things that are going on. How can I add some light in there? How can I transport that into a state of love? So shadow work quite literally is the deep dive into the murky waters of our subconscious mind, those thought form structures, right? And finding the root cause of the most painful memories and experiences. Like I said, painful AF, but guess what? You are built to do hard things. You are built to do hard things, okay? You were put on this planet to do hard things, to fall down and get back up. You got this. So once the root cause is found within our subconscious mind, we can begin that inner work, the work that heals the soul wounds that cause these roots. And we're going to rip them out. So again, that rude holistic body work, right? We're going to rip out those rotten, not good, not serving us roots. And we're going to start to plant seeds of love, of acceptance, of goodness, those empowering beliefs, right? So how can you transform I'm not worthy? I am worthy. And you plant that seed deep within your subconscious, and you do work on that every day. So we do this work for the rest of our lives. Like I said, it's a way of transcending and transmuting the pains of our traumas into a state of love and compassion. In this process, we deepen our understanding of the multiple dimensional elements and aspects of our mind, body, soul, right? We're not just 1D, we're 5D, we're living in 5D, we're trying. So shadow work is the path of the heart warrior, Carl Jung. If you are new to the shadow work, again, I know this is a community of healers, so I'm sure we're not. Carl Jung is a very, very powerful psychologist that brought a lot of these forward thinking thoughts and modalities of consciousness into the psychology world. So he's an amazing person to hang out with and study. So again, thoughts create beliefs. Let's start there. Thoughts create beliefs. Beliefs create the feelings, and then those feelings create behavior. So again, we can't choose most of the things that have happened to us this year, but the good news is we can choose how we want to feel about everything. I know that that is easier said than done. This is why it's called the work, right? It's work. Every day we're working at it. Does it have to be hard? No, not necessarily. Don't get caught in that little thought form structure. Oh, inner work is hard. It doesn't have to be hard. There can be joy, there can be play, there can be fun. That's again where I love Rebecca said they have many modalities under their belt. And that's why we have this. I love this community that Rebecca and JB have created. All the modalities, give us all the modalities, because maybe I'm not vibing with you, maybe Rebecca's vibing. Maybe that's what's so beautiful about the holistic healing world, is where there is a person, someone's going to connect with, and you're going to learn new tools to really do that work and to add some joy, to add some pleasure, to add some fun into it. Shadow work doesn't have to be all gnarly, super dark, shut all the blinds, listen to my emo music. There can be joy in it as well too. So again, be kind to yourself, grow and nourish your soul family to lean on. I cannot stress enough, if you are going to dive into your shadow and sit with it and go back to those traumas, bolster up, get your community, okay? So again, this is me, Teresa. I would love to connect and vibe and heal. Let's hang out. I would love to share this. Sounds like it's going to be easily shared, but if you wanted access to the slideshow, I also have a really cool resource list of many of the things that I've talked about. I'm a psychology nerd, so happy to talk books and all the fun things. I enjoy hanging out at Instagram. Again, I'm RH Bodywork. Feel free to email me, DM, text. I love connecting with holistic healing humans. So it's been great to hang out and talk about this. And I would love to hear from you all. Let's have a fun chat. All right, and then stop share, sorry.
There we go. Perfect. That was good. I really enjoyed your slide. Like that really, there was a lot of things that you pinpointed, like, oh yeah, that's something that I've been doing. JB and I do that a lot. Like when you say those triggers, just for an example, we were working on a client that I picked up. And so, I let this person know, like, I work with my husband, this is what we do. And she was like, okay, it was a female client. And so we started working on her. And I would notice that at the end of our first session, she felt great. And then the second session, something got triggered and I saw it. And I looked at my husband and I said, I need you to back away. But he didn't tune into that trigger until afterwards, where she sent a message like, I would like to have cupping for our next session, but is there a way for your husband to step out? And so then I recognized the trigger. Something got triggered where there's a negative male trigger there. And so I just, very slowly just said, oh, if you need to have a safe space, we can do that for you. If you want him to step out, this is what we can do. I could do the cupping part for the first 30 minutes. And then for the rest of the session, I could let my husband back in so we could do the stretching and other techniques that need to be done, because we already had a plan for her.
Yeah.
And it was just really interesting that she ended up rescheduling that appointment. And so she opted for no cupping after all. She said, oh, we'll just do what you've been doing so far. She changed the plan. And I was like, okay, we'll work with that. And so this time, what I did is I told my husband, I'm going to have you just focus from her knee down. I will do everything from the knee up. So I stayed in an area where I could feel that trigger. And he just stayed at her feet and just gave her comfort and everything.
Grounding, love that.
And all that. And it was very interesting because at the end of that session, she looked at us and she opened up. She had told us something that she hasn't even told her husband, that she's been married to for years. And she opened up and said, when I was a little girl, she was born in Africa, and then they moved to Canada, and they put her in a daycare. And she said, and the bathrooms were open. And I was not used to that. You know, I was used to having my own space because she was born well off in Africa where they had
Mhm.
service and everything. And she goes, and then all of a sudden we go to Canada, and it's a different world. And she goes, and everyone's in the same room, and you know, her space was taken from her.
Yeah.
And this little boy would follow her to the bathroom when she needed to go to the bathroom. And she felt so violated as a child. Like, why does this boy come and look at me? I want my privacy. And that stuck with her.
Yeah.
And so it was like, thank you for making me feel safe because it did trigger that. And I really appreciate that you had your husband just work from the knee down. That really made me feel safe. It made me feel heard. And then we spoke to her afterwards. Well, you know, this is something we do. We recognize the triggers within the muscles. I told her, I'm more like, I kind of sensed the trigger, and I wanted to reassure you that you're in a safe space no matter what. And whatever you tell us, we'll stay in this safe space. I go, and we will find a way to help you transition from that trauma to eventually maybe one day you'll be able to finally share the bathroom with your husband. You know, because she did communicate, like, I can't even let my husband in the bathroom. Like he has to knock before he comes in, and I need to make sure I'm covered. And so it was just very interesting seeing what you were talking about, that trigger, and being able to recognize where the trigger's coming from and how do you stop that cycle? Because she's been on this cycle since age 3.
Yeah. Yep.
Age 3, and we're tapping into it until now in her, I believe she's in her 50s. You know, I'm sure
Yeah.
her age.
No, and that's where I'm like so grateful for this space you and JB are creating. I'm so proud of you two. I think it's getting really easy right now for healers, especially touch healers, to walk away completely. The game's changed. You know, it's scary. There's, COVID-19. We're not post. We're very much in it. But darn it, I'm so glad people are staying in the work because holy moly, this world needs it. Again, 2020, this concept that I said of the inner work, the shadow work. Like when I think of this year, I just think shadow work warrior. Like, damn, 2020, just like taking it like, oh, you're uncomfortable. Like, let me just break it open for you. And I know for me, I just reopened my business. Gosh, just in late October, San Diego, the COVID situation's been pretty rough down here. I mean, as most of California, but I think I had 3 emotional releases on my table just in that one first week alone, So yes, I'm grateful that we're here. I'm grateful that we're doing the work and that people are starting to hear words like triggered. I was triggered. That they're starting to hear words like, oh, you need to do the work. And that it's even coming to the surface. So lots of good things are coming of this year. I know lots of pain, but again, shadow and light. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely, that's what drew us to the color, more of a black and white rather than say some fancy colorful logo. Is really to focus on positive, negative, or black and white, or light and dark, and even just being vulnerable, sharing with the audience. Like we've been doing, this is our 3rd session or series of this that we're performing, and we've done work together for 2 years. So like, okay, we have a solid relationship, but for some reason, Rebecca happened to say a couple words, and it just trigger me back to who knows when, and I just kind of shut down. And it's like, okay, going back to the work I've done, all the training I've done, what is this? How can I deal with it? And I just couldn't get out of it. And that's where the importance of finding a fellow healer or your partner or another healer outside of your initial group, because they're stuck in it. They might not see the perspective shift. And very, very fortunate that Rebecca has that strength to stand her own and step out of whatever was bubbling up inside, and just kind of like, what the heck? Like, why am I feeling this? And I couldn't really explain it other than not really feeling part of this event, not feeling part of just certain words made me feel like, why am I even here? Give her perception of what she saw on the outside, while anyone be going through this, being triggered, could, like I said, within moments of this, I was about to step away and not even do this series. But again, thankful for my lovely wife, Rebecca. I'm grateful that we are trained to the way we are to allow us to pick each other up when we just get knocked down randomly.
Yeah, I just stood in front of him and I said, "Where's this trigger coming from?" And he's like, "It's what you said." I'm like, "No, my words don't have that power. You
Thoughts,
have the
yeah, beliefs, feelings.
power." And I said, "Where is it coming from?"
Yeah.
Think, take this moment and I want you to think, where is this trigger coming from? Because it's not me. I just kind of like flicked a piece of that. But
You turned the light on. Yeah.
and he needed to see it. And yeah, it's uncomfortable. I could see he was very uncomfortable. Like, I don't know, and I'm like, yes, you do. Just breathe, think about it, to process it. You got this. And so then what I did, I could feel that there was that emotion of not feeling part of something. And so I started telling him, you are important for me. You are valuable in this. You are my strength. You are the one that knows how to ask those questions, to poke. You love to poke the bear. And I love that about you, because sometimes you initiate, you do that little flicking for others that I need you to do to create that trigger for people to be able to open up and say, well, this has been going on with me. How can I deal with this, or how can I process this? And so I started telling him, like, you are important to me and you are a part of this. And, don't ever think you're not a part of whatever I'm creating, because we create together. You are my support. You are my partner in crime. Like, if I fall, I'm expecting you to be right there ready to like help me out,
Trustful. You're there, right? Yeah.
Boom, on the floor. Really?
Right.
Thank you.
No, that's beautiful. And that's where I've been telling any of my friends, I'm Taurus, so everyone comes to me. I'm like, okay, come here, I love you. But anyway, I'm like, man, any relationship that you're still together by next year, like, you got this. Like, what a year. Just triggered. Yeah. When I think just shadow work warrior and just this concept of we've all been deeply triggered, and it keeps going. I'm grateful I have a best friend that is a marriage and family therapist. And I was telling her what I thought of this year. She's like, Teresa, it's actually a term. It's called active trauma. Like, what we are going through, it's in real time. We're being traumatized in real time, actively today. It's not something happened. No, today, every day we turn on the news, right? There's a new trauma for us. So yeah, and where there's trauma, there's your trigger, there's your cycle. And then it's up to us, like you said. And thank you, JB, for that vulnerable share. I had a client who's like, oh, wow, you've been struggling with rage and anger this year. You're just like this embodiment of like Zen to me. I'm like, because that's what I create for you, girlfriend. I'm like, I'm a human. Are you kidding me? So yeah, no, it's kind of fun. It makes me happy that my clients can see me that way. But I'm like, oh no, like, I'm a human just like you, and I experience all the spectrum of all the things. But yeah, it's in the vulnerability of, facilitators, of healers, whatever title, resonates with you. We have to be vulnerable. We have to let everyone know, like, no, I'm just like you. I'm a human and I'm struggling, but I have tools in my tool belt, and I'm able to identify the patterns. So yeah.
Yes. And Davida, does anybody have any questions?
I know. Questions.
Patty and Davida, if you guys could come on and share any questions or something, that an experience, or maybe even a trigger that you got while you were listening to all of us. Like, because sometimes we'll share and then there's a trigger, like, oh, I went through that, so did I. Like, I'm actually going through that right now. There's Patty.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Teresa. Thank you so much for your presentation today. And also JB and Rebecca, congratulations. Here you are again, December 1st. You did it. Yeah, I really appreciated the story that you shared with about your last client, Rebecca, and how she was triggered with that, the differences in her body, right? And in her privacy, her old story with the new story, the new place, and how she was being followed by this little boy. And it's trauma again, Teresa. Yes, it's real life triggers, because we are being I said something the other day that I was so grateful that we were given these 4 years to remove the rug. And that's what your story, Rebecca, reminded me of, is that we push so much stuff under the rug and we think that it's gone. And then when we least expect it, as you say, we get triggered, and it's like, JB, where did that come from? I know I'm adding a lot of what this last part of what I heard all of you say, and it makes sense in my head. But also I'm sure it makes sense to some of you in just noticing, paying attention, and really giving yourself the time. And again, we are human as facilitators, practitioners, and we all still go through. And I think that's the key, is that you are not alone, and that we do go through, we do get triggered. And the most important thing is to ask for help, is to surround yourself with people that are that create a safe environment, not necessarily that it's so safe that you get so comfortable. It's I love the way you mentioned, Rebecca, about JB. He pokes, and he gets in there, and he'll do a little what was the word you used? I think it was poke.
The bear.
And what?
Poke the bear.
Yeah, poke the bear. It's so important, and we don't mean to, and we don't try to. At the same time, it's part of our nature, because I'm a poker, and I'm known as the candid coach, so I'm pretty direct. And right now, I know I'm traveling, I'm journeying right now with all the information I received. But I just wanted to say hello, thank you, and acknowledge what I recognized in what you presented here today. And that is that you're not alone. Again, you're not alone, and ask for help, and surround yourself with people who are doing the work, and who have come out of the work, who can support you, hold your hand to the next, on that next step. So thank you.
And it's definitely about raising that emotional intelligence.
Mhm.
You were talking about the vibration, the frequency. When we have those negative emotions, it lowers down our vibration, our frequency. So we don't want to be down here, because that's where illnesses,
Suicide happens. Yeah.
all this ugly stuff comes about in that area. And in the last session, I had shared when I first started going to massage school at Golden West College, our teacher, she was very intuitive lady, very spiritual, very connected and grounded. And she had us do this experiment with these 2 leaves. She had us go outside. We had this beautiful big tree right outside of the building. And she had us pick 2 leaves. And we had to put them in a plastic bag. Nope, not water it, nothing. Just 2 leaves in a bag. And then every day in separate rooms, to one of them, we had to say all these beautiful positive words. I love you. You're beautiful. You mean so much to me. Oh, I just love your green, your beautiful green color. Like, just send it all this beautiful energy. And the other leaf in the other room, we were supposed to go in there and just say, you're ugly. Oh, I don't like you. You're horrible. Look at you. You're now, and all those negative. And this was only in a week. This was a week experiment. And at the end of the week, the leaf that I spoke to beautifully was still beautiful and green. But the one that I spoke negatively was all shriveled up, almost brown black. Like it was non-existent, like it was dying. And so then when she had us do that experiment, we came back with our leaves to share. She said, now imagine all the things you say to yourself.
Mm,
When those
mhm.
say to yourself, I'm not worthy. Oh, I don't deserve that. Who was I think? Who am I thinking I am? Or what do I think? Why do I think I deserve that? It's like, yes, you do deserve that. You do deserve that. So that was a very valuable lesson for me, how powerful my words are to me, what it does to my body. And also as a healer, what we're dealing with. We're not dealing with people that have, a lot of people will say, oh, it was because of this accident I'm like this, or it's because of that. We do all this external pointing, oh, because of this and this and that, I'm like this. And it's like, it's as healers, it's really hard to tell our clients, like, no, there's a lot of inner work you need to deal with. Those external traumas were experienced because you were not in a good place with yourself. And that's a hard mirror to put in front of clients.
Yeah,
It's a
tough love.
to put in front of them because a lot of people, like you said, are not ready to deal with themselves, not really ready to deal with that trauma, because we are the creators of where we are now.
To add to Rebecca, that was me. Here, look in the mirror. And here's poking the bear was, I really brought what I discovered was the root. And like, okay, they just need to focus on this and everything else will adjust itself. And of course, most of the people of clients I've had in the past, they're grateful for the session, at least presently, but then when they needed the time to simmer, would be scared away or will not return. And I accept that there's a process that we have to recognize that not everyone's ready to jump. Some people are barely ready to lift their leg, whether they want to move forward or backwards. Me, myself, I'm still mastering this. And I'm grateful for my wonderful wife, Rebecca, that helped me. Hey, let them move their leg rather than me trying to move their leg forward or backwards for them. But there's moments there, like I recognize I do have to represent the mirror, and that's me poking the bear in certain areas, more of a pocket mirror, so to speak. And yeah, there's this visualization I kept on getting right now that for those who are listening, there's times where you're isolated or you feel like you need to be isolated. At least clear your environment physically. Get something physically going and clear the environment. Is this phone or is this cup or this plant or this picture, is it adding to my vibration to raise it or to keep me down?
Yeah.
And then that's where it's important to, like Teresa was mentioning about building your community, even if it's outside your family, because sometimes your family's on a different personal spiritual growth plan where you build that spiritual family or the spiritual team that might help you raise your vibration. Like I mentioned before, I was triggered. I have all these tools. I have this great confidence, but my energy, my vibration from this specific trigger, for me looking in this specific mirror of why am I here? Am I even worth it? Was holding me so low, I myself could not get myself out until my wonderful partner, fortunately my wife was here present, was able to help me lift whatever I felt like I threw on my back. I did it to myself, but she was able to help me discover my strength to take my deep breath, to push myself up, to raise myself to the vibrations that I can recognize I could remove baggage, boulder, trigger point, whatever the case may be. So it's very beneficial for you to consider developing your spiritual family. Maybe it's a book, maybe it's an audio, maybe it's a song, but discover your team. And it's very beneficial at this time to help you strengthen that team, especially from an emotional perspective, to help you elevate your vibration to lift your leg, to step forward, or to even step away. And there's times you may have to step away or walk away.
Especially if your family's the trigger. That's the tough part, right? Like that's when you really have to like develop and nourish a spiritual family, a soul family. Because a lot of times, unfortunately, if you're the black sheep, aka the one who's conscious and wants to do the work, and your family members, maybe mom, dad, brother, sister, they're still in their ways, and that can feel devastating and hurtful. I grieved in my earlier healing journey of like, okay, yeah, this is how it's going to be, and that's okay. Just that acceptance element. But I love what you just mentioned. Thank you, JB.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, definitely. We've all, I think I could share that, you know, what you just said, sometimes it is the family and you have to step away. You have to walk away because I'm not, I am much more worthy to raise, we are all worthy to raise our energy vibration. And if my family's going to keep me down, then I have to walk away. I have to let them go and just send them love from afar because they are also in that low vibration. And we don't want that for anybody. We don't want that for our family, but sometimes it's better to work from afar, you know, until they're able to raise that frequency to meet yours. You know, and that's like I said, that's another hard thing to see, you know, because we are, what do you say, that training as a child, like your family comes first and you need to be this and you need to do that. And these are the steps that you must follow. And it's like you come to a point in an age where you're like, wait, but that doesn't feel right anymore. Wait, why does it not feel right? And it's because nobody's right or wrong, but it's just not your journey.
Soul
And
contracts. Yeah.
it's you have your own soul contract. It's your journey. Everyone is on their own journey. And that sometimes means having to let go of certain people that are around you that are not part of that contract, that are not part of that journey. And you need to be able to recognize that and say, I am on this important journey and I need to, again, what we're going to be covering tomorrow, mentally, your mindset. How do you set that mindset to move forward? You know,
How do
prioritize.
you disrupt the trigger? Yeah. How do you disrupt the trigger cycle? Totally. How do I not drink an entire bottle of wine when at Christmas and I'm hanging out with my family, right? Understanding the trigger. Like, oh, that's right. Perfect substitute. So yeah, I agree with you.
And a message for all the healers before we wrap it up and go into our private session, which we'll share the Zoom link in a moment in the comments for the Facebook Live.
I already did.
A great message that we received was that you're not responsible to remove any pain from any of your clients, because if you do, you're stealing away their opportunity for them to grow or heal or learn whatever lessons. They're just going to repeat it again. All you as a healer, facilitator, practitioner is maybe remove the pain or discomfort that's not theirs that they took on. You help them kind of clear off the dust that's not theirs to address and be that safe space like we do, me and Rebecca, for our clients, for them to focus, oh, this happened to me, so-and-so. What does that make you feel? What would you like to do? And sometimes we do a talk version of it, which then them themselves doing the work. Oh, wait, it's gone. It's not even pain anymore. It's not a trigger anymore. So this is one of the eye-opening thing is we're not here to remove anyone's pain. We help them remove other people's pain that they perceive as their own, and then just facilitate or guide them with whatever tools you're equipped with so that they could self-heal using their pain, fuel motivation to move forward if they choose to.
Yeah, it's their journey.
Love that. Kind of that do no harm element, you know, like not our job to cut the cords for people. It's their, yeah, I love that. Thank you. I love that.
Yeah, that was awesome, JB, and always, you know, making sure that you have been granted permission to step into that realm, because without that, then you're invading their space for sure.
Exactly.
And adding to that, I've gained many permission, and I do what I'm trained to do, and they weren't ready for it.
Right.
Your intuition, trust your heart, trust your guide, open up if you haven't. Go to the series to help you clear that channel to connect with your guides to really get the message. Did they really give you permission or not? Because that can make a difference between a happy customer that is really moving forward or someone that's just got stuck in a unhealthy spiral, and you can't really force them to change. And
Never a force.
Yeah. Well,
Thank you.
thank you all Facebook participants that are watching and that will be watching later. Make sure to watch this live. It will be on our Facebook page for anyone who wants to watch it later. And post, if you have questions, go ahead and post them on our comments and we will get back to you, anybody who needs anything. But we will stop recording and we will stop our Facebook Live.
So remember, stay healthy and breathe intentionally. Until next time.
Yes. Thank you.